and Jimin delivered. I don't think anybody expected that he was going to do something like this, but by God, he really delivered. So I'll be doing this from two different perspectives. One would be just a general music fan, maybe some sort of a critic, and then from the perspective of an army geek. And that's very important because he really made this song for armies, and he made that pretty clear from the opening lines, from the very first verse. Okay, I hope that if you ended up liking this video, you give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification button, and of course, share the video if you can. Also, please follow me on Patreon, X or Twitter, and on Instagram. On to the video. This is a throwback to the purity of music creation. The instruments, true to the concept of a marching band, sound like they were created by an actual instrument rather than MIDI or electronic manipulation of programs. That's why it puts you in a festive mode instead of putting you in a partying mood. It's a throwback to when things were simpler. This type of a sound is something you associate with street festivities, with confettis and tradition, and families and friends jumping around in between, filling their tummies with home-cooked meals, just having fun, not with clubs, not with grinding hips, drugs, and alcohol. This is something wholesome and something that we all miss. I think that's really the key in how the song managed to give an upbeat and wholesome kind of mood. Why it resonates with so many people, because there's an immediate association to something that is wholesome and familiar, and whether we admit it or not, something that we all miss so much. And that is the feeling of a happy gathering with many people that we love. Back when we miss those times when things were simpler, when we find any kind of an excuse to gather with our friends and family so that we can build memories and laugh and share a meal. And that is what the music video is. It's just a happy time. I think that is the key as to why so many people are enjoying it. It is giving us something that we all miss and something that we all know we still deserve. The song actually highlights the vocals and the lyrics. There were a lot of parts in the song where there was virtually a single instrument pushing your attention to the vocals and the lyrics. In the first and second verses, it was just percussions and occasional bass. Even in levels, Jimin's voice was actually the loudest. I think there's a conscious attempt to make the listeners really listen to what he is saying and to the beauty of his voice. And I'm going to expound on the lyrics in a little bit, but I think it's safe to say that the lyrics actually deserves to be highlighted, because it may sound like a simple, straightforward lyrical composition, but it's actually filled with many references to the past of Jimin as a solo artist and Jimin as a part of BTS. And that's also why we are very sure that this is for armies, because a lot of the things that he mentioned wouldn't even make sense unless you're an army. But I know that he mentioned before that he's not the kind, that he isn't really good at beating around the bush when it comes to talking, when it comes to words. He likes it straight, he likes it clear, and he managed to do that without losing his poetry in this, primarily because he mentioned, as I've said, a lot of things that we can reference back into the past, our past with him as fans and him as a member of BTS and as soloist. Breaking the monotony through his melody. Throughout the song, the drum beat can be heard. They put in some unique riffs every now and then, but the drum beat was actually the bed of the whole song. And when you have one consistent beat and one consistent instrument, it could be boring. But Jimin, ever the master of melodies, made the song sound more dynamic than it actually is, just by changing his melodies regularly. Before the chorus, he changed his melody 3 times, but you won't really notice it unless you're really listening, because the change is so seamless and so natural that it actually kind of feels like he was just humming through the entire song. But listen closely and you will realize that he's actually changing his melody every 3 to 4 bars. he didn't repeat his verses. Except for the chorus, it was progression after progression, but it wasn't a narrative either. It wasn't really him telling a story. He wrote it like he was writing a letter, like he was catching up with an old friend. There was a beginning and an end. To a certain extent, it felt like, as I've said, him, an old friend, confessing something to his friend, something that he has been holding on for a long time. It felt like he needed to get each word, and he didn't want to waste time with metaphors or double entendres or by repeating things that he's already said. He wanted to move on. He wanted to be clear, concise, and he wanted to be understood. I think this is something Jimin is developing as a songwriting style. Closer Than This also had this kind of progression. It was the past, the present, and the future. This time, it was him explaining how he wanted to be more open and honest. And this is crucial. As we know, many songs live by 4 lines and they repeat it over and over again. Jimin didn't go for that. It was more like a cause, the effects, and the resolution. He explained how he was keeping things to himself before, how he couldn't show his real self, and how that could have put a distance between him and Armies. And the most important part is the resolution, him saying that we should all be more sincere and honest from then on. That's your progression. That's growth. That is substance. I think this is something that is important for us to recognize when we look at Jimin's artistic ability and his style when he writes songs. He could have gone the route of Dynamite, where it's a lot of wordplay. It doesn't really mean anything deep. I mean, Dynamite is just about celebration and feeling good and stuff like that, and partying. But here, and he could have done that, and it would have been understandable. It's a marching band. I mean, but still, I don't know if it's something that he did consciously or that's just how he is as a person. He is a person of substance, but that's exactly what he put here. He put a lot of substance in a happy and fun song. This is for Armies. The first clue actually is in the first verse when he said everything started in June 12. This is the day of their first showcase. The official launch of the group was June 13, but June 12 was their very first performance. That is also why he did the Bangtan hand gesture in that first part. That's actually when BTS first met Armies. So him talking about wanting to be more honest, wanting to be more real, this is him making a promise to Armies that he is going to show more of himself. I also think it's important for us to notice how Loco actually made an effort to continue the narrative of Jimin. He even mentioned that Jimin couldn't say the things that he wants to say face to face because, as we know, he is serving the military, and so he just made a band. He also continued the narrative and the theme of the Smeraldo flower. Of course, there is a possibility that Jimin actually had contributed to the lines of Loco, but it's still a good fusion. Most of the time, many rappers would actually go astray, actually pursue their own path in their own part, and most of the time you can't do anything about it because they write their own raps. So for Loco to actually remain consistent with the theme and the message that Jimin is trying to deliver, that's a huge part that made this entire song more cohesive. Jimin is beginning the chapter 2 of the Smeraldo tale. As we all know, the Smeraldo flower shop has been closed for quite some time, and the ending was actually pretty tragic. But with this, I feel like he is starting the chapter 2 or the version 2 of the tale. In the second verse, he said, all the things we couldn't say before and your hidden feelings too. I'll tell you everything now, just for you. Don't you worry anymore since we are together now. Let's be more honest. This is actually a reference of the Truth Untold. In the Truth Untold, they couldn't say the things they wanted to say, even though they wanted to because they were scared the fans would turn their backs on them. Smeraldo is the flower for that emotion, for that thing that you can say, the emotion that you cannot express. It's a flower of secrets and fear. In Smeraldo Garden Marching Band, the flowers are now blooming again. The flowers are bright, the sky is clear, and there's a certain sense of fantastical happiness around. He is now talking about breaking down the wall, stopping the pretense, and being more upfront and honest. He is now willing to show his imperfections, come what may. And that is why I am convinced this is the version 2 or the book 2 of the Smeraldo tale. The ending of the tale was pretty tragic, but Jimin is restarting it and it's going to be a happy one. It's really the most basic connection that we all need. It is our need to be loved, to be wanted, and to be held. Clear, concise, and straightforward. Jimin didn't leave any room for misinterpretation. One of the great things about the Beatles' lyrics is their ability to just focus on the things that people need but never hear or never get. Their song, I Want to Hold Your Hand, is an example. Most of the time, that's all what really people need, to be held. They're not always looking for eternal commitment or anything like that. Most of the time, they just want somebody to be there for them. And the Beatles verbalized it for them. Jimin does the same thing here. That's what he is offering. He isn't promising to battle all the monsters for you or to give you the moon or to be the best man for you. He is simply saying what we all need to hear every now and then, that he loves armies, that he wants armies, and that he wants to hold armies' hand. Mainstream is so scared of this kind of lightness. There's this trend of going very heavy. It's all about being powerful, fighting, cursing people, not caring about being hated because they are the coolest. There's nothing wrong with that, don't get me wrong. But when all that you hear is that, it kind of gets jarring. And with all the problems that we are having, it's just nice to hear something that will not make you think. A song that will just make you feel good without having to have any reason for it. This song gives us pure love, simple and attainable happiness, and honesty. That's hard to go by. Just an opportunity and an excuse for us to dance our heart out, which leads me to my next point. He created such a beautiful world. It just shows us a beautiful, beautiful universe. Something we also all desperately need. Something fantastical, something magical, and just beautiful. It's all part of Jimin's effort to put us in that state of happiness. Hopefully, if that smile on his face throughout the entire video is of any sign, the same kind of happiness that he is feeling. The Smeraldo is no longer a flower of secrets and fear. It's now a flower of honesty and courage. But it's also important that it's not overstated. He isn't swinging in vines made of gold and standing on clouds. He's just surrounded by a garden, and that makes it more achievable and believable. His live vocals, my God, it's so good. Initially, I couldn't believe that it was live because it's so refined. It's so refined. And the only reason I thought it was live is because I could hear him breathing in some of in between the lines. And so I thought, maybe it's live. And then I listened to the iTunes version, the recorded version on iTunes, and lo and behold, it's different. So I know that it is live, and he was wearing his in-ear. And so did Loco. But I think it is very consistent with what he's trying to say in the song. He's basically saying in the song that the truth should be told. He's going to tell the truth now. Goodbye to the pretensions, goodbye to the secrets that he's trying to keep. He's going to slowly present who he really is. And this is him. The raw vocals, this is him. He's presenting it to us. But it's absolutely beautiful, and I hope that he keeps on doing it. I am pretty sure. So RM actually recorded one of his music video as live. I think, correct me if I'm wrong. I think Jungkook recorded just one of he did a lot of live performances, but I don't think he has a music video that was recorded as live. And the same thing is true with V. But I hope that this is something like a tradition that they would do. Like there's always a clip or a song that they would just record as live. That's just my wish. Of course, I'm not them, and they have full rights on what they want to do with their future projects. Okay. Okay, some questions that you sent me. Why did he mention June 12 when the anniversary of BTS is June 13? Their very first showcase that happened June 12. They performed before some media people and some fans. So that's why he mentioned June 12. Another thing is that I think it was interesting when he said love in the lyrics. He was actually signaling sign language, the LOVE. It was a very subtle thing that he did, but if you know sign language or you know somebody who does sign language, because they are nonverbal, then you would know that that's a huge thing. So I thought that was really special. Next, I am just so proud at how he's really pushing himself as an artist. A marching band by itself, so first, the wholesome, cute kind of concept is not something that a lot of male idols are doing. The concept of marching band by itself is not very popular among idols in general, especially nowadays. For some reason, everyone's going either very sexy or whatever, but for him to go this route and still put substance into the song, I think it really speaks of how he is pushing himself as an artist. That's number one. And who he is as an artist. As I've said, he could have gone very light in terms of message and it would still be okay, because that's the concept of the song, is just happy. But for him to put substance in the lyrics, I think that really speaks of who he is as an artist. He isn't just evolving as an artist, he is actually helping elevate certain genres. And I can't wait to see more of what he is going to do. Another thing is that it's very interesting that he stuck it out with P-Dog, with his team. I'm not saying that they don't deserve that he shouldn't be working with them anymore. No, it's actually the opposite. I think it's very wise of him to continue working with them for his second album, because he's comfortable with them. He is still in the very early stage of his solo career, so he found a really solid team that's not just giving him their best but also helping him find the best of himself. So I think that's good. I know eventually he is going to explore and work with other producers, and he should, if that is something that he wants to do. But I'm just happy that he stuck it out with the three for the second album, and I think they have a long way to go. I think they really bring out the best in each other. I'm really just excited on the kind of art that they will be creating as a group. Next is that I'm just proud that this is for Armies. Again, he a lot of what he did for Face, except for the hidden song, that's really his story. And I think from there, him jumping to this kind where he is sort of looking from the inside out, I think that is an evolution. He actually changed his point of view. I would love to hear your thoughts, and I am very excited for the July 19 release. By then, actually, I'm going to be in Korea, but I will be doing everything that I can to support him in the US. But I would love to hear your thoughts with the song. Let me know in the comment section. Looking forward to a great discussion. If you ended up liking this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification button, and share the video if you can. Also, please follow me on Patreon, on X, and on Twitter, and on Instagram. Thank you.